Hello. Right. We are live now. So welcome everybody. Rich, we'll just get going, I think, straight away.
Yeah, that's good.
So we've got kind of what's new for Squirrel in version 1.20, which came out yesterday afternoon. Some cool stuff in there. So Rich, take it away.
Okay, hi everyone. Yeah, so thanks for joining today. As Mel said, we're going to have a quick look at what is new in 1.20, which went live yesterday. I'll just jump straight in then. So we'll have a quick look through the agenda. We've got a quick look at the new Squirrel Manager, specifically looking at the Stripe customer portal. Have a look at the new date picker, the HubSpot connector. We've also rolled out the some changes to our comparator. So we've got compound comparator. So we'll go through and explain what that is and give you some examples of that. A quick discussion about the new fine-tuned model for the AI builder and AI component. And we've also introduced a mobile device preview in our preview view as well. So let's jump straight in and have a look at the new Squirrel Manager menu. Where's my screen gone? There we go. Right. So you can see my Squirrel now. So yeah, so changes to the Squirrel menu now is we've tidied up the menu. We're starting to get a number of more settings, a number of more options within our Squirrel menu. We wanted to kind of condense that and make it a little cleaner, but also give us a bit of structure. So going forward, as we add more to this view, that we can then start structuring it and organizing it better. So we've collected and moved things in settings. We've now got an accordion, so you can kind of expand that and have a look within there. The idea being is on the traditional profile portal account management page, which we'll have a look at in a second, we want to start bringing some of those capabilities into this Squirrel Manager here, so we can start seeing in one place where you can go and manage your account. So you've got the settings here where you can expand and contract that, and we've also down the bottom here, if you click on your name, we've now got a menu here, and this gives you access into your profile, your billing, and also the ability to upgrade as well. So if we look in profile, so this is the legacy old account manager. It's still there, all the functionality is still there, but over the next few releases we're going to start bringing some of this functionality into the Squirrel, so you don't have to go out to different locations or different websites to manage your account. You can do that all in one location. I'm on an account which is not purchased through e-commerce. So if I go to billing, it will take me into my Squirrel Manager and to my billing portal here. So if you have got a Squirrel account that's purchased through purchase order or through an account manager, it'll take you into here. But if you're somebody that has purchased through the website or e-commerce, what we've done now is we've enhanced the portal, so it now takes you into the Stripe customer portal. We use Stripe for our payment gateway. I can't demo it live, but I've got a video of what that would look like. So if I quickly play my video. So we go to the billing portal here. It now takes you into the Stripe customer portal here, which is managed by Stripe. So you access from that billing link. And in here, you have the ability to manage your payment information. So you can add your credit card, change your credit card information, and you've also got the ability to change your billing information as well. This is my free account, so you can't really see anything in here. But if I had previous months worth of charges and invoices, you'll be able to see a list in this invoice section here of all my previous invoices. At the moment, you can still access that within Squirrel. The legacy account manager gives you the ability to download your invoices, but there is an issue, which is those invoices are only available to download for about 45 days, and then the link expires and you have to contact support to get a copy of your invoice. Integrating the Stripe portal now directly into Squirrel gives you access to the invoices here, and they're available however old the invoices are, so you can go back years and get your invoices from there if you want to. That is now baked into the product, and you can just press on the go back button, and that will take you back into your Squirrel application. So that is the new Squirrel Manager and Stripe portal in the Squirrel application. So the next one is looking at date picker. So this is a complete rewrite from the ground up of the date picker. We had that in Squirrel already, the ability to have a date control in your projects, select dates, and it inserted that into the spreadsheet. We've rewritten it from the ground up because there are some features and functionality that we wanted that we just couldn't do with the existing date picker. So if I start a new project and go to date, bring date picker across, we've now got the new date control. Doesn't look much different to what we had before, but in the property panel, we've got the ability to say, I want to display it as in line with the calendar control, or a mixture of inline and the actual date picker side of things as well. If I give you an example here with the inline calendar control, we've now got the ability to enable date ranges. So this is one of the features that we couldn't do before, but that we can do now. If I put that on there, let me just, for example, put it into cell A1 and date range 2 into A2. There you go. Make this a bit bigger, and let's change the format to year, month, day. Now, if I go into debug and select a range, you can see it's inserting those dates in there for me. This is something I couldn't do before, but we've now got that baked into the application itself as well. Another thing we've done as well, we're seeing a number of people now creating mobile type applications leveraging PWAs, and they want the ability to be able to use this on a mobile device. And sometimes this control might look great on the PC, but on your mobile device, you might want to use the native date picker controls, the spinners and the other controls that are native on iOS and Android. If we go to the properties section and have a look for general, if I change it from, so inline here, I haven't got the ability to select native Android. If I change my display type to pop-up, which is just the like an input field, I have now got the ability to use native on iOS or Android. So this will look and work exactly the same on your PC and on desktop, but if I then consume this application on a iOS or Android device, rather than popping up this date picker, it will use the device's date picker control instead. So you'll get the nice little sliders and scrollers, and it feels more natural on mobile devices as well. So that's now baked into the application for that capability as well. In terms of, it's a new date picker control, completely rewritten from the ground up. Rather than introducing a migration path where if you open Squirrel and then migrate your date picker control across, what we've done instead is we've done it so that if you have an existing project with a date picker, when you open it in 1.20, it will continue to use that old date picker control. So it's not going to introduce any backwards compatibility or regression issues to existing projects, because there are differences in how this control looks. If you open up a legacy project, it will still have your old date picker, but every new date picker that you add from the component tree and the component library will be using the new date picker control. So if you want to take advantage of this in an existing project, you'll need to remove your old one, add the new one, and then reconfigure all the data insertion and dynamic visibility. But that will handle it for you. Okay, so that's date picker. So then looking now at the next one, which is the HubSpot connector. So in the past, if we wanted to have, say, a form in your Squirrel project and then ask a user to enter some details and you wanted to insert that into the HubSpot CRM, you'd have to have used a Zapier connector. So our Zapier connector would have been like a man in the middle. So you'd have to then pass the data to Zapier. Zapier would then insert that into HubSpot for you, and you'd have to then pay for your Zapier usage. We've created a direct connector now to HubSpot. So what this with this direct connector, it's a go to the connectors. We've got HubSpot. You create a link to your HubSpot account. So if you go to new account, it will ask you to log in and choose your HubSpot credentials. Once I've got that selected, let me just go back. I've got my HubSpot connected, selected. It will then ask you for some information. Because HubSpot is the contacts in HubSpot, the primary identifier for that is your email. You always have to provide the email address. So the email address will identify either an existing user, so you can update them, or a new user, and it'll create them for you. So you have to provide the email. So I've got that bound to B1 here, which is this email address here. And then in the contacts field here, we've got a list of all the different contacts that are available, all the contact fields that are available in your HubSpot account. So let's choose job title, for example. So I'm going to enter the email address and job title, and then on trigger, when that value changes, I want to insert that into HubSpot. So if I have a look at my HubSpot here, I can go in. Let's do a debug. Let's go. So Thomas at tankengine.com, and he is a train. If I click submit now, There's no feedback from there because you need to send the information to HubSpot, and then HubSpot needs to process it, make sure it's not an update. If it is an update, it'll update my existing Thomas Tank Engine contact with the with the job title. If it's not, it'll create it for you. So there's no feedback. It's basically like a fire and forget. So if you want to hide that form, you have to handle that yourself when you click the submit button. But it sent that information through to my HubSpot. So if I reload this now, we should have Thomas the Tank Engine now in my HubSpot. And if I have a look on my record here, he is a train at the Tank Engine. So this is using that form that we've captured into there, and it's create that HubSpot account for us as well. Another thing we've got in there, so sometimes creating a contact, not just what you want to do, you might want to add them to a list for some automation within HubSpot. So we've got a conditional option here, so you can optionally turn it on, add contact to list after creation, and then it'll go and pass and query your HubSpot account and give you back a list that you've got. And what will happen now is when someone submits the form, it will then create or update that record, and then we'll add them to the list if they're not already in there. And in here, you can add more than just job title. You can add a number of addition fields in here as well. So it's not just one or two properties. You can add a whole range of properties depending on what your form is as well. So that is the HubSpot connector. Next then is our compound comparator. So this is a bit difficult to explain, but it's in the past, if you wanted to do things like dynamic visibility, you'd put it on here and you'll say, show this rectangle when this value equals that value. So when A1 equals B1, for example, and when that is true, your rectangle is shown. When it's not true, the rectangle is hidden. But that is very limiting in what you can do. We might want to say, well, I want to show that rectangle when A1 equals B1 or A1 equals C1. So previously you've had to have written complicated formulas within your spreadsheet to account for that. So the compound comparator has now enhanced that. So we can now add multiple conditions to things like dynamic visibility. So if I go back, we've got an example here, compound comparator. I've got an image here and I want to show that when I press this button and if this slider value is above 50. So I've got this button is toggling that there's a way to here, look now. So it's toggling between 1 and 0, 1 and 0. So what I want to happen now is if B1 equals 1 and the value from the slider is greater than 50, I want to show this this image here. So if I press here, it's now 1, image isn't shown. But if I slide to 50, I can now have multiple conditions controlling dynamic visibility. That gives you a lot more control and a lot more flexibility over what you can do with dynamic visibility. But it's not just dynamic visibility. Everywhere we've used this design pattern, which is like the when a value equals this or a value is that or a value changes. So for example, if you look at a button, we have interactivity. We can conditionally disable. So disable this button when value is not empty and another value equals another value. So we can start doing this compound logic for different things as well. Similarly on data connections, if I go to CSV, I can say refresh on cell change. So refresh might get the data from my CSV when the value changes, and you can start using this compound logic for triggering connections as well. So anywhere pretty much that we've got this logic where you can conditionally do something, we've now added the ability to do the compound comparator to that as well. So next up is a request that we had from a customer, which was so back in I think build 118 we add, or might be 119, we added in the AI widget and AI function. So if I go to, so this is the AI widget here. It gives you the ability to ask OpenAI some questions. So this one here is just a cosmetic component you can put on there. I can ask questions to it. We had a customer come back and I don't want to just use ChatGPT 3.1 or 5. So if you look here, I'm using GPT-4. They don't want to use this GPT-4. They've got their own fine-tuned model that's been tuned on their own data set, and I want to ask questions of GPT against their data set, for example. So we've added now in build 120, we've now added at the bottom of this list, you've now got custom, If you select custom, you can enter your own fine-tuned model. So if we look here, this fine-tuned model here. So if you've created your own fine-tuned model within OpenAI, you'll get this the identifier for your model, and then just providing model of custom, the fine-tune ID of your ID. Now, when you go in and use either the AI bot, the actual chat window itself, or the function which gives you the ability to pass in additional data from the spreadsheet, it's using your fine-tuned model, not the generically available 4.1, or in this case 3.5 turbo, for example. So it's just a simple select the model from the drop down, provide your ID, and then going forward, that functionality will be then using your fine-tuned model. And then moving on to the last item on the list now is the mobile and device preview. So let me have, I got an example here, mobile device preview here. Perfect. Okay, so I have got a mobile application here that I've designed. I want to look and use it on a mobile device. Before 1.19, if I go into preview, for example, it displays it in the middle. It's mobile phone sized, and it's a little bit in the middle. And it's a bit blocky. It doesn't look great. We added the ability to do responsive canvas, and in conjunction with that, we also added things like the horizontal alignment and vertical alignment, so we could stretch and absolutely position things. If I now go into preview, because it's identified that I have done responsive canvas, it knows that I now want to potentially view this on different device sizes. It's not going to take the canvas size as hard and fast. It says, well, I'm going to scale it to fit the device that you're viewing it on. So we've now enabled at the top here these different device preview options. So this is what it looks like on desktop. It's stretched everything to fill the screen, which is great. That's what I wanted. But this is actually for a tablet. So if I click on tablet now, it shrunk my tablet. It's moved the display to be tablet sized. It's not portrait, it's actually landscape that I want to just rotate the orientation. So I can now rotate that and see what that looks like in here. It's quite good from a contrast point of view because my application is really light, but say my application was really dark and this black void around the outside, it might become lost in there. You have got the ability to toggle light and dark mode, so you can kind of see potentially on different contrasts depending on what your project looks like. I have also got phone on here as well, landscape and portrait phone, but it gives you the ability at preview time to see what your project or your application looks like with different device sizes with that full screen scaling turned on. So these options here are only enabled if your enable responsive canvas is turned off. Again, if I go back to preview, those are disabled, and it will use the canvas size as specified in your main canvas property window as well. So that is it in terms of new things. And what we started in the last release webinar, we start showing our living roadmap. So what we're working on now in terms of we just released 121 yesterday, 120 yesterday. So what's in 121? So what we currently developing and working on right now, what's next, what we're thinking about, what we're doing some investigations or R&D into, and what's the future, things in the future that we are potentially looking to explore and play with. Again, it's a living roadmap, so as we work on things now, if we hit issues or if we hit different priorities or timelines, some things might move from now into next or now into future. They move around or they might drop off, but by and large, now is our vision at this moment in time, what we think the next release of Squirrel is going to look like. Next is ideas for the very near future, and future is just more distance and that sort of thing. So first up is custom components. This is something we're actively working on developing right now. So I've got a quick snapshot from some of the visuals that the designers have been pulling together. So the idea for custom components is look at this little example here. I've got a widget or a component I've created that is made up of a text label, a text input box, which is this grey box here, a red line underneath because I want to highlight my input box, some more text below it, and maybe the background is a white rectangle to give it some sort of card appearance that I want to use. And I might want to use this in multiple places in my application. At the moment, I have to create that with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 components. And then if I want to use it again, I have to then either copy it or use it again. And then later on down the line, I start playing with it. And then I realize, oh, actually, I don't want that red line anymore. I want that red line to be gone. I have to go and delete that from every single place that I've used that. So what instead we've got with custom components is the ability to drag these onto your canvas. You can then select those components. Say, right, I want this selection of components. I want to create that as a reusable custom component. So you right click on them on the canvas or in the object browser, create custom component, and that will then create that as a reusable component in your object browser. So on the left hand side here, you'll be able to see it. And then you can drag and drop that onto your project, but not just the same project, you can use that across multiple different projects as well. So you can start creating reusable components that are usable across multiple projects. And the power of this as well is that if, for example, this red line, I want to get rid of it, I can go and edit my custom component, delete that red line, and then when I next open the project that's using it, it will tell me, oh, your custom component's updated. Do you want to automatically update your custom components to use the latest version? So you can then start sharing these components across multiple projects and make changes that will then be available across multiple projects as well. So that's in active development at the moment, and that is on the roadmap for build 121. Next up is custom and vanity domains. We've had a number of customers, especially in larger organizations and enterprises, where they have published a project to our Squirrel Cloud. And to view that, the URL is cloud.squirrel365.io / and then some information like /viewer / and then a random 32-bit character. And they don't want that. They don't want they don't want cloud.squirrel365. They want it to be on their own domain. And the second piece, so that's the custom domain. And then the vanity domain is they don't want a 32 character string. They might want it to say sales dashboard or something. So this is what we're working on at the moment, is the ability. This is a bit more technical, so it's not something you do very often, but it does require IT to get involved, is where you can specify and create your own subdomains and DNS. So rather than saying cloud.squirrel365, we can change that to be app@yourcustomer.com or yourcustomdomain.com, and you can specify your own domain to start with. So that custom domain will then get rid of the cloud.squirrel365 and replace it with your own subdomain. And then the vanity domain piece is getting rid of that 32 character random GUID and providing your own name. So you can choose your own name for that as well. So that is in active development at the moment. And we're looking to get that into the next release of Squirrel. We wanted to get the custom domain in for build 120. Hit a couple of issues at the last minute that we haven't been able to get that in. So that custom domain is almost done. Vanity domain is going to be done. So both of those will make it into the next release of Squirrel. And then the last one in our now thing is we're looking at, this is still an active investigation. It's slated for 121, but we might need to move it out into a later build, is looking at enhancing the security when you're logging into the Squirrel application, especially now that we've got the designer in the browser, so you don't have to have a desktop installation, you can view it via a web browser, is providing more security on logging into your Squirrel account. So not just username and password, it will now be username and password and potentially multi-factor authentication, or we might be looking at magic links or login tokens and those sorts of things. So that is still in investigation at the moment, but it's on our roadmap because we want to get that in sooner rather than later. Chances are first iteration will be just MFA, and then we'll look to enhance it with further security capabilities as well. And a really quick now list over some of the next stuff we're working on. Teams and workspaces, we're working on, it's in the design and phase at the moment, which is the ability to share projects. If you're a company with multiple people with Squirrel accounts, the ability to share projects, in terms of project limits, but also in terms of, I've created a Squirrel file and I want someone else in my team to better go in and edit that when I'm on holiday, or go and make some changes to it and things like that. So the ability to share Squirrel files as well as Squirrel projects amongst your team and workspace. Combine that with custom components, it gives you the ability to create company styled components that you and your team can then all use and share and use as well. So that's the idea for that one. We've been doing some work with AI as well. So we did a webinar a few weeks ago about Discover, which is a drag and drop query builder. And we're looking at adding the ability to do AI queries against that data set as well. We've updated the Squirrel Managers I showed at the start with a file for public files in the cloud. We've also got assets now stored in the cloud, but our project manager for your published project is still very old. It hasn't been updated for 2 or 3 years now. So we're going to update that to make it a bit more cleaner and structured and organized, especially in light of team and workspaces where you might have multiple people looking at published projects, being able to coordinate and manage those in a much nicer way, potentially even tying the Squirrel project to the published project, so you can then go and make those changes and see which Squirrel file was used to publish which project, for example. Something that we're actively working on at the moment, but it's still in the R&D phase, is animated transitions. So we've got dynamic visibility, and dynamic visibility magically shows and hides a component or a canvas, for example. But animated transitions is the ability to say, well, when I show a container containing lots of information, for example, a page, I don't want it to just magically appear. I might want it to slide in from the side and the previous canvas to slide out to the side as well. So those sorts of animated transitions to give you a bit more app-like control over your project as well. So those are the things that are on our now, next, and future roadmap. I think that's it, Mel. Have we got any questions, or have I missed anything?
I don't think so. No, nothing's come in the chat. I think you covered everything nicely there, Rich. Yeah, no, I think we're good. A lot of these features and enhancements are designed to sort of simplify the sort of app building process, as you said. So compound comparator is definitely one that might make it kind of a bit easier to see what's happening in your files in terms of controlling triggers and dynamic visibility. But some of the stuff that you've shown coming up is where I'm quite more exciting, perhaps, which is things like custom components. So yeah, that's a good run through of it all. Last chance for anyone to drop any questions into the chat, really. But it was all pretty straightforward.
If not, we'll post questions in the community. We're more than happy to answer questions there. What I'm hoping to do as well, as soon as we've got something with custom components, we'll do a little bit more of either a video or a live or a webinar very quickly, just kind of to show how it's evolving. It won't be finished and polished yet, but it gives you a bit more. We've talked about it, but it's one of those things until you start seeing it, and you can start visualizing how it can be used. I want to demonstrate and show that as soon as we've got something that is in a showable state. We're not there yet, but we're not far off in terms of the development. But I show there's the first versions and the first iterations of it, even though it might be slightly wireframey, at least it gives you that ability to understand the direction we're going with it. And
one of the other items there, Rich, on the roadmap around sort of AI for querying data sets and stuff, that's something we've got quite we've got quite a way with an early version of that. So that's something we could share as well in the community, give people some insight into how we've built that out and what that could look like too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Bro.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Rich.
Cool. Radio.
Cheers all.
Thank you very much, everyone.